Welcome to the Nexus BDSM Overview by Starlight Rose. Today's lesson will be an overview. We'll be setting up the foundation so that we start on the same ground, all together. We'll talk about why we're doing these classes, what is BDSM, misconceptions associated with BDSM, pillars of BDSM, roles dominant, submissive, switch, stages, how to engage safely, safe word, how it works, how it's used, limits, just some common ground, aftercare, for now it's only a glimpse. It will be covered deeper in another class. Safety protocols, you may have heard about them already. We're talking about SSC, CNC, etc. In the future classes, we'll be going deeper. Let's get started. In our classes, we operate with a few clear guidelines. What is shared here remains here. To create a genuinely safe and supportive environment, confidentiality is essential. Trust is the foundation of meaningful learning, and we take that seriously. Please respect everyone's time and personal boundaries. We all have lives beyond the nexus, families, careers, and responsibilities. No one is available around the clock, and that reality applies to all of us. Mutual respect in this area is non-negotiable. This is a judgment-free space. Our purpose is growth and support. Judgment interferes with learning, and without openness, real progress isn't possible. Check your ego at the door. This space isn't about competition or self-promotion. Bragging, posturing, or proving superiority serves no one here. If that's your goal, there are other places better suited for it. Classes are conducted via voice chat. These sessions are interactive and experiential by design. We do not offer text-based classes. If voice participation isn't something you're comfortable with, these classes may not be the right fit, and that's okay. Active participation is required. There are no observers or passive attendees. You're either fully engaged with the group or free to continue your journey elsewhere. There's no judgment, only clarity about expectations. Learn as though you'll be teaching it, because you will. Understanding goes deeper when knowledge is shared. This mindset ensures you don't just absorb information, but truly integrate it. Let's talk about why we're giving these classes. Secure. Fortify your online interactions with vigilance. These classes exist to help you recognize risks before they become problems. Online spaces require discernment, understanding boundaries, identifying unsafe behaviors, protecting personal information, and knowing when to disengage. Security is not paranoia. It is awareness paired with good judgment. Harmonize. Foster positive connections built on respect. A healthy community does not happen by accident. We teach how to communicate clearly, respect boundaries, navigate differences, and resolve friction without escalation. Harmony isn't about avoiding conflict. It's about handling it in ways that preserve dignity and trust. Inform. Empower yourself with crucial knowledge. Ignorance creates vulnerability. These classes provide the context, language, and understanding necessary to make informed decisions. Knowledge allows you to act intentionally rather than react emotionally, and to recognize both healthy dynamics and warning signs when they appear. Engage. Participate responsibly to shape the community. Every member influences the tone and direction of the space. These classes emphasize accountability, knowing when to speak, when to listen, and how to contribute constructively. Engagement is not passive presence. It is mindful participation that strengthens the whole. Lead. Set the standard through your actions and example. Leadership is not a title. It is behavior. We teach you how to model integrity, consistency, and respect so others can follow safely. Whether you realize it or not, someone is always watching how you move, speak, and respond. These classes prepare you to lead responsibly. Defend. Protect the integrity of safe online spaces. Safe environments require guardianship. This means speaking up when lines are crossed, supporting those who need it, and refusing to tolerate behavior that undermines trust. Defense is not aggression. It is the quiet, steady commitment to uphold shared values. Let's talk about what is BDSM. BDSM means bondage, discipline and/or dominance, submission and/or sadism, masochism, a variant of BDSM but not necessarily BDSM, Kink. Kink is a non-normative sexual interest or behavior. It's about exploring desires outside conventional norms, emphasizing consensual, imaginative, and often playful expression. Here are 10 common misconceptions about BDSM.
BDSM is inherently abusive or a sign of past trauma.
This is one of the most persistent and damaging myths. Abuse is defined by lack of consent, coercion, and harm. BDSM, when practiced ethically, is built on informed, enthusiastic consent. While some people may explore BDSM as part of healing or self-discovery, most participants are not acting out trauma. Research consistently shows BDSM practitioners are no more likely to be traumatized or psychologically distressed than the general population, and often report higher communication skills and emotional awareness. Key distinction: abuse removes choice. BDSM requires it.
People involved in BDSM are mentally ill or deviant.
This belief comes from outdated psychology and moral panic, not science. Modern psychological and psychiatric organizations do not classify consensual BDSM as a disorder. Deviant simply means outside the statistical norm, not unhealthy or immoral. BDSM communities tend to emphasize communication, consent, self-reflection, accountability. These are not markers of pathology, they are markers of intentional behavior.
BDSM is all about pain.
Pain can be one element, but it is far from the whole picture. BDSM can involve power exchange, structure and ritual, sensory play, not painful, emotional intimacy, psychological dynamics, service, caretaking, or discipline, trust-building exercises. Many practitioners do not enjoy pain at all. Reducing BDSM to pain is like reducing dance to sore feet. It misses the point entirely.
The submissive person has no power.
In reality, submissives often hold more power than observers realize. The submissive consents to the dynamic, sets boundaries, defines limits, can withdraw consent at any time. A dominance authority exists only because the submissive allows it. Power exchange is negotiated, not taken. Control is offered, not seized.
BDSM relationships can't be loving or functional.
This misconception assumes love must look one specific way. In reality, many BDSM relationships are long-term, emotionally intimate, supportive, deeply bonded. Love is expressed through caretaking, responsibility, consistency, protection, emotional attunement. Structure and power dynamics do not erase love. They often intensify intentional connection.
It's a one-size-fits-all activity or lifestyle.
There is no single right way to do BDSM. Some people engage occasionally. Others live it as a core relationship structure. Some dynamics are sexual, others are not. Some are playful, others are serious and ritualized. Preferences vary widely in intensity, roles, language, protocols, frequency. Assuming uniformity leads to misunderstanding and poor expectations.
BDSM is only for specific genders or sexual orientations.
BDSM is not limited by gender, orientation, or identity. People of all genders can be dominant, submissive, switch, or none of the above. BDSM exists within straight relationships, LGBTQ+ relationships, monogamous and non-monogamous structures. Roles are not determined by anatomy, gender, or societal stereotypes. The dynamic is negotiated, not assigned.
BDSM is all about sex.
Sex can be part of BDSM, but it doesn't have to be. Many BDSM dynamics focus on authority and structure, ritual and protocol, service and responsibility, emotional regulation, trust and surrender, personal growth. Some relationships are explicitly non-sexual, while still deeply intimate and meaningful.
Safe words are a sign of weakness or a cop-out.
Safe words are a sign of competence, not weakness. They exist to protect physical safety, protect emotional well-being, maintain trust. Using a safe word means the system is working, communication is respected, consent remains intact. Ignoring safe words is not hardcore. It is irresponsible.
People involved in BDSM are secretly trying to control others in their everyday lives.
This is a projection, not a fact. Many dominants are collaborative, respectful, highly conscious of consent outside the dynamic. Many submissives are assertive, independent, leaders in their professional lives. BDSM is contextual control, not a personality disorder. Healthy practitioners understand where the dynamic applies and where it does not. Keep in mind that just because people say these things doesn't make it real. It's only perception. Let's talk about the pillars of BDSM. Without these pillars, BDSM is not BDSM. It's chaos at best and harm at worst. Communication. The essential, ongoing dialogue that makes everything else possible. Communication in BDSM is not a one-time conversation. It is a continuous process that evolves as people grow, learn, and change. What communication actually involves? Clearly expressing desires, curiosities, and interests. Explicitly stating limits, hard limits, soft limits, conditional limits. Discussing expectations around roles, intensity, frequency, and structure. Checking in before, during, and after interactions. Being able to say, "This isn't working for me anymore," without fear. Why it matters. Assumptions replace clarity when communication is absent. Misunderstandings create resentment, fear, or emotional withdrawal. Silence often gets misinterpreted as consent, which it is not. Healthy communication looks like asking instead of assuming, listening without defensiveness, adjusting behavior when new information is shared, treating feedback as data, not criticism. Without communication, trust erodes quietly, and by the time people notice, damage is already done. Respect/consent. The non-negotiable framework that governs every interaction. Consent in BDSM is not passive, implied, or coerced. It is active, informed, and enthusiastic. What consent means in practice. Everyone involved understands what they are agreeing to. Consent is given freely, without pressure or manipulation. Consent can be withdrawn at any time, for any reason. Consent is specific. It applies to this activity, with this person, in this context. Respect is how consent is upheld. Honoring stated limits without argument or punishment. Never testing boundaries, to see what happens. Treating a no or a pause as final, not a challenge. Valuing the person more than the dynamic. Important distinctions. Consent does not mean enduring discomfort to please someone. Power exchange does not override bodily autonomy. Authority within a dynamic exists because consent grants it. Remove respect, and consent becomes performative. Remove consent, and nothing else matters. Trust. The outcome of consistent behavior over time. Trust is not declared. It is earned, reinforced, and maintained. How trust is built. Doing what you say you will do. Being honest, even when it's uncomfortable. Acknowledging mistakes without deflection. Prioritizing safety over ego. Responding appropriately when something goes wrong. Why trust is critical. BDSM often involves vulnerability, physical, emotional, psychological. Trust creates the safety necessary to explore responsibly. Without trust, fear replaces curiosity and control becomes threatening. Trust allows for letting go without panic, exploring edges safely, deep emotional connection, growth instead of damage. And importantly, trust can be damaged quickly. Once broken, it takes sustained effort to repair. Some breaches permanently end a dynamic, and that is appropriate. Trust is not blind faith. It is confidence built on observable behavior. What is consent? Consent is a completely mindful, willing, and uncoerced choice to say yes, with the ability to revoke that yes at any time without fear of repercussions. If there's no consent, it's not BDSM. Let's talk about the Fry's model, a widely used model for understanding ethical, enthusiastic consent. Freely given. Consent must be offered without pressure, manipulation, fear, or obligation. No guilt tripping. No emotional leverage. No "you owe me." No consequences for saying no. If saying no risks punishment, withdrawal, or ridicule, consent is not freely given. Reversible. Consent can be withdrawn at any time. Mid-scene. Mid-conversation. Even after previously agreeing, people are allowed to change their minds. Stopping does not require justification. Informed. Consent requires accurate, complete information. What will happen? How intense it may be. Known risks. Emotional or physical impact. Withholding information, even to avoid ruining the moment, invalidates consent. Enthusiastic. Consent should be an active yes, not the absence of a no. Excitement. Engagement. Willing participation. Silence, hesitation, or resignation are not enthusiasm. Fine, I guess is not consent. Specific. Consent applies only to what was agreed upon. This activity. With this person. In this context. At this time. Agreeing to one thing does not imply agreement to others. Now let's talk about CRISP. A complementary model often used in structured or power exchange dynamics. Considered. Consent is thoughtful, not impulsive. Given with time to reflect. Not made under emotional pressure or altered states. Grounded in self-awareness. Rushed consent is often uninformed consent. Reversible. As with fries, consent can be withdrawn at any point. Regardless of roles. Regardless of power exchange. Regardless of expectations. Authority never cancels autonomy. Informed. Participants understand the scope and implications of what they're agreeing to. Rules and protocols. Expectations and responsibilities. Risks and safeguards. Trust me is not information. Specific. Consent is clearly defined and limited. Roles. Activities. Duration. Boundaries. Vagueness creates confusion, and confusion creates harm. Participatory. Consent is collaborative, not imposed. Everyone has a voice. Input is welcomed, not tolerated. Agency is preserved even in submission. Participation means being part of the decision, not merely complying with it. Why these models matter? Fries and CRISP exist because assumptions are dangerous. Silence is ambiguous. Power dynamics require more clarity, not less. They provide a shared framework so people can communicate clearly, recognize red flags early, hold themselves and others accountable. Important note: these models are tools, not shields. Using the language without practicing the principles is meaningless. Ethical behavior is demonstrated through actions, not acronyms. What follows is a clear, respectful expansion of the three roles, framed as responsibilities and functions, not fantasies or stereotypes. This keeps the focus on ethical dynamics, accountability, and mutual agency, which is essential for education. Dominant. The dominant establishes and maintains the structure of the dynamic. A dominant does not take power. They are granted authority through consent and trust. Their role is fundamentally one of responsibility. Core responsibilities include creating a clear framework for the dynamic, rules, expectations, protocols, ensuring physical, emotional, and psychological safety, maintaining open, ongoing communication, checking in before, during, and after interactions, adjusting behavior when limits or needs change. Responsible dominance looks like leading with intention rather than impulse, exercising power only within agreed-upon boundaries, prioritizing the well-being of the submissive over ego or gratification, understanding that authority exists because it is continuously consented to. A dominant is accountable not just for what they do, but for how their actions impact the person who has placed trust in them. Submissive. The submissive chooses to surrender control within defined, consensual limits. Submission is not passivity. It is an active, intentional role that requires self-awareness and communication. Core responsibilities include clearly communicating limits, boundaries, and needs, giving informed, ongoing consent, using safe words or other agreed signals when necessary, engaging honestly in check-ins and aftercare discussions, withdrawing consent when something no longer feels right. Healthy submission involves trusting the dominant while retaining personal autonomy, participating actively in the dynamic, not enduring it, understanding that submission is a choice, renewed continuously, recognizing that saying no or stopping is not failure. A submissive's power lies in their agency. Without their consent and engagement, the dynamic does not exist. Switch. A switch is capable of occupying both dominant and submissive roles. Switching is not confusion or indecision. It is adaptability. However, it requires heightened clarity and communication. Core responsibilities include clearly communicating which role they are in at any given time, upholding safety and consent principles in both positions, avoiding role ambiguity that can create misunderstandings, being especially attentive to transitions between roles, ensuring consent remains explicit, not assumed. Effective switching requires strong self-awareness, emotional regulation, clear boundaries, the ability to separate roles from identity when appropriate. A switch must be disciplined in communication, as assumptions about role can quickly undermine safety. An important clarification. These roles are negotiated, not assigned, contextual, not permanent unless agreed upon, flexible, not rigid stereotypes. No role grants inherent moral superiority, entitlement, or authority outside the agreed dynamic. There are different stages when it comes to engaging in the scene or in BDSM activities. Negotiations. This is your comprehensive consent and boundaries discussion. It's not just about what you will do, but what you won't do and all the nuances in between. Planning. This is your scene blueprint. Based on the negotiations, you're now detailing the specific steps and flow of the scene. For the submissive, it doesn't mean you'll know everything about the scene, but this also means planning your own backup plan, in case something goes unexpected. Unexpected doesn't mean wrong. Briefing. This is your final check-in and alignment. Just before the scene begins, you perform a last-minute confirmation of understanding and readiness. This ensures everyone is on the same page and fully present. Then comes the scene. This is the active engagement. It's the live, dynamic interaction where the agreed-upon activities unfold. Throughout this stage, active communication, including safe words, and continuous awareness of your partner's responses are critical. The scene continues as long as it's safe, consensual, and enjoyable for all involved. Aftercare. This is the immediate post-scene recovery and nurturing. It's crucial for bringing the submissive, and often the dominant, back to a grounded, comfortable state. Debriefing. This is your analytical review and learning phase, often occurring a little while after the scene, hours or days later. This is where partners discuss the scene in detail, focusing on growth and improvement for future interactions. As you can see, there's more than meets the eyes. It's not just all right, we're doing it. Now it's done and we go back to our lives like nothing happened. There's a follow-up. There's care. Just because the scene is over doesn't mean we're done with the consequences, and that whatever else happens after is on the sub or the dominant. When it comes to safe words, most people in the BDSM community are familiar with the traffic light system. Here's what it really means. Green. This signals comfort, enjoyment, and a desire for the activity to continue or even increase in intensity. Yellow or amber, slow down, proceed with caution, or something's off, let's check in. This indicates that the person is approaching a boundary, feeling uncomfortable, or needs a pause to reevaluate. It's a warning signal, not an immediate stop, but a clear sign to reduce intensity or pause to communicate. Red. Stop immediately. This is an absolute hard stop. It means the activity must cease without question or delay. It's used when a person has reached their limit, is in pain, or feels unsafe and needs the situation to end instantly. There are many dominants who don't believe in the use of safe words and many submissives who forget to use them. The use of safe words is a responsible choice and the respect of it as well, not a sign of failure. Here's a few guidelines when it comes to safe words. The acronym we'll be using is CLEARS. Conspicuous. Is it a word that would stand out and be instantly recognizable? You want something that wouldn't normally come up in conversation, so there's no accidental use or confusion. Think purple unicorn rather than okay or stop. Loud and clear. Can it be easily heard and understood, even in a moment of intensity or distraction? Choose a word that's not easily mumbled or lost. Explicitly defined. Have you and your partners clearly discussed and agreed upon what the word means and the actions that will follow its use? This includes whether it means stop immediately, slow down, or check in. Absolute. When spoken, does it demand an immediate and unconditional response? There should be no hesitation, negotiation, or questioning. It's a hard stop or agreed upon action. Rehearsed. Mentally, have you both mentally run through what would happen if the safe word was used? Knowing the protocol beforehand reduces panic and ensures a smooth, safe transition. Simple and singular. Is it easy to remember and pronounce under pressure? A single, distinct word is usually more effective than a phrase. When it comes to limits, we'll focus on two types of limits: hard and soft limits. These limits will be discussed in more detail in one of the following classes. Soft limits. These are boundaries that are flexible, negotiable, or can be expanded and contracted over time and through effort. They are often self-imposed, culturally influenced, or pertain to capacities that can be developed. Violating a soft limit might have consequences, but they are typically less immediate, less severe, and more amenable to change or mitigation. Think of them as elastic bands that can be stretched or retied. Hard limits. These are non-negotiable, immutable boundaries. They are fixed, concrete, and often governed by external, undeniable forces. Violating a hard limit carries immediate, predictable, and often severe consequences that are outside your control. Think of them as the immovable walls of reality. In BDSM, aftercare is mandatory, not optional. We'll cover this topic in more details in a future class, but let's at least give you a quick overview. Crucial period following any intense BDSM activity or scene. Think of it as a decompression phase. BDSM activities can be incredibly stimulating and sometimes overwhelming, leading to a surge of hormones and emotions. Aftercare helps to gently guide individuals back to a grounded state, ensuring their well-being and strengthening the bond of trust between partners. This support can manifest in many ways. Emotional and psychological. This might involve cuddling, talking, reassuring words, debriefing the scene, addressing any feelings of drop, a common emotional crash after intense BDSM, or simply quiet comfort. Physical. This could include providing water or snacks, offering a warm blanket, helping with cleanup, or even tending to any physical sensations or marks from the scene, if applicable. It's not just for the submissive or bottom. Dominant participants also need aftercare to process their experience and transition back. Ultimately, aftercare is about mutual respect, care, and ensuring that everyone involved leaves the experience feeling safe, valued, and comfortable. Safety protocols. Some call them consent frameworks. I call them safety protocols. Here's what they mean. SSC, safe, sane, consensual. This is perhaps the most widely recognized and foundational principle in BDSM. CNC, consensual, non-consensual. This acronym refers to a specific type of role play or fantasy play within BDSM, where one or more participants simulate a scenario of non-consent. This is where the consensual part is absolutely paramount and the non-consent part is purely theatrical. RACK, risk-aware consensual kink. This concept emerged as a refinement or alternative to SSC, recognizing that safe can be a subjective and sometimes misleading term. PRICK, personal responsibility, informed, consensual kink. This is another evolution, building on RACK by adding an even stronger emphasis on individual accountability. CCCC, caring, communication, consent, and caution. This framework offers a more holistic approach, focusing on the relational aspects of BDSM play. As you can see, there's a common factor in all of them. Can you tell what it is? That's right. Consent. Keep an open mind. This is the way, not necessarily the way. There exist multiple valid approaches or perspectives that might vary based on individual preferences, experiences, or contexts. What we encourage you to do is to form your own opinion and vision of it. Thank you for listening, and let's talk again in a future class.